new girl on deck. The air on Deck 7 always smelled like warm metal and cleaning chemicals. Mark Dawson, a human technician, worked alone in the corner, fixing a broken air filter. The station was old, and things broke every week. But today, something was different. A new girl had joined the team. She didn't talk much, she didn't smile. And she wasn't human. Her name was Lena. She came from a faraway planet Mark couldn't even pronounce. Her skin was a soft silver blue, and her white eyes never met anyone's for long. She moved like a shadow, silent, fast, unnoticed. Most people on Deck 7 didn't care. They were too busy with their duties. But Mark noticed everything, especially her. That morning, the crew was unloading heavy cargo. The boxes were full of energy cells and everyone had to help, even the quiet girl. Lena stepped forward without a word. Her movements were smooth, almost too smooth. She picked up a crate heavier than her own body weight like it was nothing. Mark, still crouched behind a vent, stared in surprise. Then it happened. As Lena bent forward, her left sleeve slipped down, just for a second. But it was enough. Mark saw something strange on her upper arm. A scar. It wasn't like any scar he had seen before, it was glowing. A thin, curved mark that shimmered softly, as if lit from under the skin. The color shifted, first blue, then gold, then green. Like it was alive. Lena pulled her sleeve up quickly. Her face stayed calm, but her eyes flicked toward Mark. He quickly looked away. She had seen him see it. Later, Mark sat in his cabin thinking. He had seen many alien species in his years working on deep space stations, scars, tattoos, implants. Nothing was new. But this scar, it wasn't normal. It looked like a symbol, a code, and it was glowing. He pulled out his personal data tablet and searched through the station's alien medical archives. Nothing. No mention of glowing scars like that. He looked deeper. Military. Records, genetic logs, restricted files. Still nothing. Then his screen blinked. Access denied. Reporting to Central Authority. Mark's eyes widened. He hadn't even opened a restricted file yet. He shut off the tablet quickly. His heart pounded. Was someone watching? That night. Someone knocked on his door. Not a real knock. Just a soft sound. He opened the door. No one was there. Just a small folded note on the floor. He picked it up. Only 4 words were written. Forget what you saw. The next morning, Lena was already working when Mark arrived at the power bay. She didn't look at him. She acted normal, quiet, focused. But Mark felt the tension in the air. She knew, and she was waiting. He tried to act normal too, but he couldn't stop thinking. Why was her scar glowing? Why was it hidden? And why did someone care enough to leave him a warning? During lunch break, Mark sat alone in the mess hall. The others were loud, laughing, arguing over food rations and shift hours. Lena sat in the far corner, alone, not eating, just watching the stars outside the window. Mark thought about going over, asking her, saying something, but he didn't move. Something in his gut told him this wasn't a small secret, it was dangerous, big, and maybe bigger than both of them. That night he couldn't sleep. He kept seeing the scar in his mind, glowing softly in the dark, like a light waiting to be turned on. He felt it wasn't just a mark, it was a key. But a key to what? He didn't know yet. But something told him he would find out soon, and when he did, everything would change. The scar that shouldn't exist. Mark stared at the scar drawn on his tablet screen. He had matched it perfectly, but not to Lena's species, not to her people. The match came from a sealed war file over 100 years old, and the words beneath it said, Class 7 threat, contain, or terminate. Mark couldn't stop thinking about the scar, the glow, the shape. the way it shifted like liquid metal under Lena's skin. He needed answers, but the official records gave him nothing. So he went deeper. There was a hidden server on the old repair droid network, used by engineers to share schematics, hacks, and secrets. Mark had helped build it. That's where he looked next, and that's where he found it. Not under medical data, not under alien health codes, but under a file named Ghost Signals, Locked Life Forms. He almost didn't open it, but curiosity was stronger than fear. The file showed a blurry image, an alien with glowing marks across the body, eyes blank, floating mid-air. Soldiers surrounded it. Some were kneeling, others were running. Mark zoomed in. The arm, the scar, same shape, same glow. He froze. Then scrolled down. Under the image were red warning lines. Biosymbol, Mark Sigma 9X. Function, sealed weapon, high-risk carrier. Status missing. If located, do not engage without clearance. Mark leaned back. Lena had that scar, which meant she wasn't just some quiet alien girl, she was something they feared. He copied the file and saved it to his private system. He didn't trust the station's core network anymore. Someone was already watching him, and now he understood why. The next day, he acted normal, joked with other engineers, replaced a coolant pipe in the reactor hall. But when he saw Lena, something in him changed. He looked at her differently, not with fear, but with concern. Because she didn't act like a weapon, she acted like someone hiding from pain, and maybe from herself. Later, he returned to his cabin, but the door didn't open. It was locked, from the inside. He tried again. Nothing. Then a voice came through the speaker, one he didn't recognize. Mark Dawson, you've accessed restricted material. This is a warning. Stay out. The voice was calm. Cold. Not robotic. Mark backed away slowly. He didn't sleep in his room that night. Instead, he went to the power ducts, where the noise of generators drowned whispers. He plugged his tablet into a hidden port and opened the file again. But this time, there was a second page. He hadn't seen it before. It had only one sentence. The scar is not a wound, it's a lock, and the key is emotion. Mark stared at the line for a long time. Emotion? Was that why Lena acted so cold? Why she avoided people? Was she hiding more than her past? Was she afraid of feeling anything? Because if she did, it might unlock something? The next morning he waited near the hydroponic bay. Lena always passed that way after second shift. She came right on time. Mark stepped out from behind a crate. She stopped. Her face didn't show fear or anger, just quiet eyes. You found something, she said softly. Mark didn't answer at first, then he said, that scar on your arm, I've seen it before, in a war file. She closed her eyes for a second, then looked at him. How much do you know? Enough to know you're not just a technician, he said. She looked around, then pulled him into the shadows. I didn't ask for it, she whispered. I don't even know what it means. I was born with it, or made with it. I'm not sure. Mark watched her closely. I'm not afraid of you, he said. You should be, she replied, because even I don't know what happens if it unlocks. He took a step closer. Then let's find out together. She shook her head. No. If you get close, you might trigger it. And then, people die. Just then, alarms rang across the hallway. Security breach. Unauthorized access. Sector 6. Lena grabbed his hand. They're coming. They found the file on your system. Mark's heart jumped. How? They always do. They ran, down the maintenance shaft, into the lower levels, where broken machines and forgotten systems collected dust. Mark's breath was loud. Fast. Lena didn't even break a sweat. Where are we going? He asked. To find the truth, she said, and her voice wasn't shaking anymore because the time for hiding was over. The girl who wasn't born, Mark sat in the dark, staring at her. "What are you really?" he asked. Lena looked down at the scar glowing on her arm. "I don't know," she said. "All I know is I was never supposed to leave that lab alive." Mark and Lena crouched behind an old generator in the ship's forgotten lower deck. Pipes hissed. The smell of rust and oil filled the air. Footsteps echoed above. Security teams were searching for them. Mark looked at Lena. She didn't look scared. She looked tired. "I think you owe me the truth now," Mark said. Lena nodded slowly. She pulled her sleeve back. The scar was brighter than before, shifting between pale gold and soft green. It pulsed like a heartbeat. "I wasn't born like you," she said quietly. "I wasn't born at all." Mark frowned. "What do you mean?" "I was made," she said, "in a research facility, hidden from the galaxy. They called me a prototype. They didn't give me a real name, just a number." Mark's chest tightened. "You were grown?" "In a pod?" She nodded. "My memories started at age 5. By then, I already had the scar. The scientist told me to ignore it, but every time I cried, it glowed." Mark leaned forward. "What was the scar meant to do?" "They didn't say," she replied. "But I heard whispers, that it could unlock something terrible. They trained me to be calm, cold, emotionless." She paused. Her voice dropped. "One day the alarms went off. The lab was under attack. I ran. I didn't know who was fighting. I just knew if I stayed, I'd be used." Mark's throat was dry. "Used for what?" She looked at him, eyes full of a quiet sadness. "To break planets." Mark sat back. He didn't speak. What could he say? The girl sitting in front of him looked peaceful, quiet, kind. But she had been created as a weapon. And worse, she didn't even know how powerful she really was. "I don't want to hurt anyone," she said. "That's why I stay away. Why I never laugh, why I don't feel." Mark whispered, "Because the scar reacts to emotions." She nodded. "If I feel too much, if I care too much, it might open." Suddenly, a loud bang came from above. They both jumped. "They're close," Lena said. "We need to move." They slipped deeper into the lower levels where old tunnels connected to the station's forgotten lab decks. Lena seemed to know exactly where to go. Mark followed her into a dark room filled with broken pods and shattered screens. "This is one of the old testing labs," she said. "I stayed in that one." She pointed to a small pod covered in dust. Mark walked over and wiped the glass. Inside was a small handprint burned into the surface. A child's. He looked back at her. "You were a child when they locked you in here." She nodded. "And they told me that someday I'd destroy everything." Mark turned on his flashlight and noticed something shining under a desk. He pulled out a metal case. Inside was a small data drive. "Do you know what this is?" he asked. She shook her head. "No, but maybe it holds the truth." Mark placed it in his tool belt. "Then we'll find out together." Lena smiled, just a little. And for a moment, the scar blinked. Brighter, Mark noticed. She pulled her sleeve back down quickly. "We should go." As they left the lab, Lena stopped. "Mark," she said, "why are you helping me?" He turned to her. "Because you didn't ask to be made this way and because you've spent your life trying not to hurt people." He looked her in the eyes. "And maybe because I believe you're more than what they designed." She didn't say anything, but her eyes said everything. Just then, a voice echoed over the station's comms. "Lena, Unit 9X. You are ordered to surrender. You are classified as unstable. The human engineer with you will be detained. This is your final warning." Mark and Lena froze. They were out of time. "They know who I am now," she whispered. Mark gripped her hand. "Then it's time the galaxy knows what you really are," he said. "Not a weapon." She looked at him. "Then what?" he answered, softly. "A person." The hidden file on deck 13. The lights flickered as the old screen came to life. A scientist's face appeared in the recording. "If you're watching this," she said, "then the carrier has awakened. The scar is not a warning, it's a gate, and only one thing can open it, love." Deck 13 wasn't used anymore. Most people believed it had been sealed years ago, after a power fire shut down half the systems. But Lena remembered the path. She had escaped through this deck once, long ago. Now, she was going back. Mark followed her through the cracked hallways, stepping over broken tiles and hanging wires. The air was cold and thin. Their boots echoed in the silence. At the end of the corridor was a steel door, burned at the edges, control panel smashed. Lena placed her hand on the metal. The scar on her arm began to glow. Blue, then white. The door opened. Mark stared. "It reacts to tech?" "It reacts to everything," Lena replied. Inside the lab, dust covered the floor. Broken chairs, shattered glass, and burned-out lights filled the space. In the center of the room was a locked cabinet, untouched. Mark knelt beside it and placed the drive they had found earlier into the terminal port. It clicked. A screen lit. "Up. Encrypted file detected. Voice ID required." Lena stepped forward. She didn't speak. She just looked into the screen. The scar on her arm pulsed softly. "Access granted," the computer said. A video began. An older alien woman appeared on the screen. She wore a lab coat, her face tired and sad. "This is Dr. Kira Saul. Final message from Project Hollow Flame." Lena took a step back. Mark kept watching. "If you're seeing this," the doctor continued, "it means the girl survived. Somehow she escaped the program. That means there's still a chance." She looked straight into the camera. "The scar is not a weapon seal. Not only, it's a gate, locking ancient code inside her cells. But it doesn't open through violence. It opens through connection, emotion, and most dangerously, love." Lena's face changed. She whispered, "Love?" Dr. Saul went on. "The girl was not made to destroy. She was made to choose. Her power reflects her heart. If she loves, the scar opens, but it mirrors what she feels. If that love is true, it creates. If it's twisted, it destroys." Mark's heart beat faster. "She was made to restore balance," the doctor said. "But we feared her. So we locked her away. We trained her not to feel. That was our mistake." The video ended. Silence filled the room. Mark looked at Lena. She wasn't crying, but her eyes were wet. "All this time," she whispered, "they made me think I was a threat. A bomb. But I was meant to help." Mark stepped closer. "They were afraid of what they didn't understand." She looked at him. "And now? I'm not afraid," he said. The scar on her arm brightened slightly. Lena noticed. "It's reacting," she said softly. "To you." Mark swallowed. "Maybe, because I care." She stepped back. "No, you can't." "Why?" "Because if it's false, if it's not real, the energy inside me could twist. It could break the ship. It could kill you." Mark looked her in the eyes. "Then let me prove it's not false." Suddenly, boom. The wall shook, sirens blared, security breach, deck 13, unauthorized access. Jax's voice came through the speaker, the station's commander. "Lena, I warned you. You've triggered a threat alert, we're coming for you." Lena turned to Mark. "They're going to try to remove me." Mark's jaw clenched. "Then we don't let them." They ran through the back door of the lab, entering an old escape chute. As they climbed up, Mark said, "Lena, if we run, they'll chase us forever." "I know. We need to show them you're not a weapon." "How?" she asked. He stopped. "We activate the scar." She stared at him. "Are you insane?" "No," he said. "But I believe in you." He placed his hand gently on hers. The scar blazed with light, not violent, not red, but warm, gold. like a sunrise. The tunnel glowed around them. Lena gasped. It's opening. Then everything went still. And she heard it. Not a voice in her head, but a feeling in her chest. A presence, a power. Not cold, not cruel, but peaceful, inside her, waiting for her choice. She looked at Mark. You really care? She asked. He smiled. Yes. She closed her eyes and whispered. Then I choose peace. The commander's lie. In the command chamber, the security feed showed Mark and Lena climbing out of Deck 13's escape tunnel. Commander Jack stared at the screen. He's already bonded with her, she said coldly. Good. That means we can activate her ourselves. Through him. The emergency lights flashed red across the station. Guards stormed toward the upper decks. Jax, the station's commander, stood calmly at the control panel, hands behind her back, watching the camera feeds. Beside her stood an older alien with sharp eyes and a cold voice. She's unlocking, he said. Jax nodded. Yes, exactly as we planned. He glanced at her. And the human? Jax smirked. He thinks he's helping her, but he's the key. Elsewhere on the station, Mark and Lena reached the upper level through the old cargo shaft. They were breathing hard but safe for now. Where now? Mark asked. Lena paused. Her hand covered the scar. It still glowed faintly. There's a maintenance bay up ahead, she said. If we can reach the signal tower, I might be able to send a warning off the station. A warning to who? To anyone who'll listen, she replied. They need to know I'm not what they say. Back in the command center, Jax opened a secret file. It showed scans of Lena's brain, her scar, and, most surprising, Mark's emotional data. The other alien frowned. You tracked his feelings? We had to, Jax said. The scar responds to deep connection, trust, emotion. She leaned closer to the screen. And he feels all of it. So he's a trigger. Jax nodded. Yes. And we'll use him to open her fully. The alien warned. If she unlocks too fast, she could destroy half this station. Jax didn't blink. Then we better control the direction it explodes. Mark and Lena reached the maintenance bay. The doors were open, too open. Something felt wrong. Mark stepped inside carefully, then, click. A shock pulse hit him from the side. He fell to the ground. Lena screamed, turning, but several guards jumped out of hiding and surrounded her. She backed up. The scar on her arm flared. One guard tried to grab her, but she threw him across the room with a wave of golden light. Another guard fired a stun dart. It hit her neck. She fell to her knees. Then blackness. She woke up strapped to a chair. Bright lights burned above her. The room was cold and metallic. Commander Jack stood in front of her. So, Jack said calmly, the weapon speaks. I'm not a weapon, Lena whispered. No? Jax raised a brow. Then why is the human reacting like one? Why does the scar shine when he touches you? Why does the air tremble when your heart races? Lena looked down. Because I trust him. And that, Jack said, is why we brought you here. Meanwhile, Mark woke up in another room. His head hurt. His hands were cuffed to a chair. He tried to move, but the restraints held tight. A voice spoke from a hidden speaker. Mark, Dawson, you've bonded with Subject 9X. That makes you useful. Mark shouted. Where's Lena? The voice didn't answer directly. Your emotional link is now strong enough. The scar is open. We'll begin the extraction process soon. Mark's eyes widened. What extraction? A screen turned on. It showed Lena in the chair, eyes half closed, wires connected to her arm. They were draining the scar, turning her into raw power. Lena looked up as the machine hummed. I won't give you anything, she said through clenched teeth. Jack smiled. You don't need to. He already gave it for you. Lena's eyes widened. What? We used him to unlock you. Everything you feel for him made you open. No, she whispered. Jax leaned closer. he thought. He was saving you, but really, and he delivered you. But in the security room, something unexpected happened. The lights dimmed, the screens cracked, and the entire power system glitched. Mark's restraints melted off, vaporized by a wave of heat from his own body. He stared at his hands. They were glowing. The scar's energy was flowing through him too. He burst into the hallway, guards yelling behind him. He moved faster than he ever had, ducking, sliding, dodging stun blasts. He reached the control chamber and slammed the doors open. Jax turned in shock. Mark pointed at her. "Step away from her." Jax raised her weapon, but the walls pulsed with light, and the blaster in her hand shattered into pieces. Mark walked to Lena and pulled the wires out gently. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "They used me to hurt you." Lena shook her head. "No, you're still the only one who made me feel human." Her scar lit up. His hand glowed too, and the air filled with light. The machines shut down. Jax and her men fell unconscious. Only Mark and Lena stood, silent in the glowing stillness. "Know what I am now?" Lena whispered. Mark looked at her. "What?" "Something they can't control. The activation." Lena fell to the ground, shaking. Her scar burned bright gold, lighting up the chamber. "It's starting," she gasped. Mark grabbed her hand. "Then fight it, Lena, or make it yours." The power core of the station was unstable. Flashes of light flickered through every hallway. Machines failed. Security panels blinked and went dark. The emergency sirens had stopped, burned out by the very energy that had once been hidden inside Lena's body. And now, that energy was awakening. Mark carried Lena through the corridors. Her body was hot to the touch. Her eyes were closed, her breathing shallow. The scar across her arm glowed brighter with each step. "I'm here," he whispered. "Don't give up." They reached a small med bay, half destroyed, but still safe. Mark laid her gently on a table. She opened her eyes. "I can feel it," she said weakly. "It's calling everything to me. Energy, thoughts, memories, like the station is breathing through me." Mark touched her face. "Then breathe with it. Don't let it take you." Tears welled in her eyes. "I don't want to hurt anyone." "You won't," he said, "because you're not a weapon." The scar blinked. Once. Twice. Then it exploded with light. Lena screamed. Not in pain, but release. She floated up from the table, her body wrapped in gold lines, her hair lifting into the air, her eyes glowing white. Every screen in the station lit up with her face. Every system stopped responding except to her. She wasn't just alive now, she was the core. Jax, still trapped in the control room, woke to the image of Lena glowing above her. She tried to give a command, but the system didn't listen. "Override," she yelled. "Full shutdown." Nothing worked. Then a voice spoke, Lena's voice, soft, steady, and everywhere. "You treated me like a thing, a fuse, a file, but I am not yours." The walls of the control room bent inward slightly. Jax gasped. She's rewriting the systems, with her mind. In the medbay, Mark stood below her as Lena hovered midair. "Lena!" he called out. She looked down. "Do you know who you are?" he asked. She blinked. Slowly. "I am more," she said. "Then decide what that means," he shouted. "Because if you don't, the station won't survive it." Lena's hands shook. The walls around them cracked. Her body began to pulse like a living star. "I feel everything," she cried. "Fear, love, hate, doubt." Mark reached out. "Feel only one thing," he whispered. She stared at him, his voice softened. "Feel you." Something changed. The golden light shrank, pulling back into her body. Her feet touched the floor. Her scar dimmed, but didn't vanish. The room stilled. She collapsed into Mark's arms. "I'm sorry," she whispered. He held her, tightly. "Don't be. You didn't destroy anything." Lena looked up. "Not yet," she said. "But there's still a part of the scar I haven't unlocked." Later, As they walked the quiet halls, power slowly returning, Lena paused near a viewport. Mark stood beside her. "You saved the station," he said. "No," she replied. "I spared it." He looked at her. "There's more," she said. "Inside me. A deeper layer, something sealed. I can feel it." Mark frowned. "Can you stop it?" Lena shook her head. "No, but I can choose how to use it." He placed his hand in hers. "Then we'll face it together." Just then, the ship's system rebooted fully. A final message flashed on every screen. Core stability. Manual mode engaged. User control. Lena unit. 9X. Confirmed. Across the stars, a quiet pulse echoed from the station. A new presence was born. Not a weapon, not a god, but a girl who had chosen to rise and refused to be a tool. The girl who chose to live. Lena stood quietly on the platform, staring at the stars. The scar on her arm no longer glowed. Mark stepped beside her. "So, is it over?" he asked. She turned to him and said softly, "No, it's just beginning. But now, I get to choose." The station was calm. No alarms, no broken lights, no soldiers chasing shadows, just silence and healing. It had been 5 days since Lena took control of the core and ended the chaos. Since then, she had walked the halls not as a prisoner, not as a weapon, but as herself. No one stopped her. No one dared, because now, she was part of the station itself. And everyone knew. If she had wanted destruction, they would all be gone by now. But instead, she chose to live. Mark walked beside her as they toured the upper decks. Crew members looked up as they passed. Some nodded, some bowed their heads, some just watched in silent respect. Mark whispered, "They used to be scared of you." Lena gave a small smile. "Now they're just unsure. They'll learn." She looked at him. "So will I." In the command center, Jax had been removed from duty. Her plan to use Lena and Mark had been recorded by the ship's AI and reviewed by higher command. She was taken away quietly. And Lena? She was offered something strange. Citizenship. She had never belonged anywhere. Now she had the chance to choose a name, a future, a home. Later, Lena and Mark sat in the observation deck where stars blinked gently across the glass wall. "I've decided," Lena said softly. "About what?" "My name, the one I want to keep." He smiled. "Let me guess, not Unit 9X? She shook her head. "Lena, I want to stay Lena. Because the first time someone said it like it meant something, it was you." Mark looked at her. "You are something." She looked down at her arm. The scar was still there, but quiet now. A soft silver mark, no longer glowing, no longer burning. "I thought it defined me," she said. But it was only one part. Just then, a message blinked. On Mark's wristpad, he checked it. "It's from Central Command," he said. "They want to meet you." Lena raised an eyebrow. "Why?" "They say you might help protect other stations, prevent power system failures, work with human engineers, teach them what you know." She nodded slowly. "They want to use me?" Mark shrugged. "Or work with you. You get to decide now." Lena smiled. "Then I'll go." He looked surprised. "Really?" "Yes," she said. "But only if you come with me." Mark stared for a moment, then nodded. "Always." That evening, as their transport ship prepared to leave the station, Lena stood on the departure ramp with Mark at her side. She looked back once. So many memories in such a short time. Fear, confusion, pain. Then, hope. Then, him. And now? Now freedom. She turned to Mark. "Do you remember what I said when you first saw my scar?" He nodded. "You told me not to look." She laughed softly. "And you looked anyway." "I'm glad I did." So am I. The ship lifted into space, quiet engines pushing them toward the stars. Lena sat beside him in the cabin. Outside the window, the galaxy spread like a sea of lights. He glanced at her. You still feel it? The energy? She closed her eyes. Yes, it's part of me, but it's calm now, sleeping, waiting. For what? She opened her eyes. For a reason to wake up again. But next time, I'll be the one to decide when. Final scene somewhere. Deep in uncharted space, a signal was sent. From a station that once feared a scarred girl. The message was simple. She was never the weapon. She was the one who chose not to fire. And across that same space, others listened. Other girls with marks. Other boys with questions. Others who were made, but never told they could choose. Because Lena's story had reached them. And now, the galaxy would never be the same.